time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Live from the Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen studio, this is The Oil Stream. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here. As over the next hour, we're going to get you set for Oilers Lightning and the Oilers' 4-game road trip. Eric, you don't have to do that. You can
just go in front of it.
I always walk right in front. I used to do that. I used to crawl underneath the camera.
Avery Lewis McDougal did try to get around it.
You didn't see it. Eric actually got underneath the camera to get to do something behind the scenes. Oh yeah, I didn't see you at least. I'll see you tonight at the Pint.
Oh, oh boy, that guy.
Canada, Jamaica tonight. Yeah, I used to always try to get under that camera during Lock Shop when I'd set Dusty up, and then he eventually was just walk in front of it. And it does look like, I don't know, I still feel like it looks weird on camera when you just see all of a sudden this body walking across, but I don't know. It's, unless we turn the desk the other way, we have no other options.
Yeah, whatever. So, who cares?
It is what it is. How was your nap?
Lovely. I see Eric posted a video.
Did he get I was thinking about getting a picture. Did he get one out?
Yeah, but I had woken up and I was smiling at him.
You, you needed the nap.
I was tuckered out.
Yeah. You've been busy.
I've been busy. Belzy, I missed your call. I'm sorry. I'll get back to you.
He was napping.
I was napping.
He was having a nice nap.
Yeah.
Am I that cranky in the morning? To you?
No, I was just giving it to you this morning.
Because I feel like I've been worse in mornings. That I've actually been better here than I've ever been in mornings. So you actually haven't seen me at my worst in the mornings.
I don't want to see it.
So no, you don't.
No.
So yeah.
Great photo. I'm napping. Yeah.
Good. How was the nap on the couch?
Lovely. I just zonked out. That was a fun hangout. Shout out to Jay Milne and Struddy for coming by.
Well, today. It just starts EST Glue Guy is always a blast.
He's great.
He has been one of the best parts of EST since we've launched. Having him around, having him on a lot more.
It's been excellent.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you throw into the mix Jason Strudwick, who it was legit when he jumped into the Nasty Chat one morning show.
Struddy did, yeah.
About a month and a half ago or something, and we didn't know whether it was legitimately him or not. And it ended up being him because I texted him hey, is this you? And he's like, yeah. And then we had a nice little exchange. And I said, I'd love to get you on the hang. I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I was stunned because I'm like, Struds doesn't have time for us. He likes us, but I figured 1260, it's a way for him to now distance himself from us if he wanted to.
Right, if he
wanted to. But he's too nice that he didn't want to, I guess. And for him to bring himself down to our level and come here for a hangout, it's just how good of a dude he is.
You know how good, and here's the other thing too, is Rashog, who's a huge EST guy, also sticking around. He was sending us texts and audio files to play, and he's a big. He bought a whole bunch of merch from us.
Our biggest order
was Ryan Rashog.
Yeah, Ryan.
It's like a $700 order.
It's incredible. Just buying everything.
All 9 kids that he has.
Ryan, I know Tommy's mentioned it to you. I know you're watching right now, so I'll do it right now. You are welcome on the Hangout anytime. Let's get it done in December.
Yes.
Let's get you on. So there's my official invite to you, Ryan Rashog of your Got Your Back podcast.
Perfect.
So
yeah,
we'll have him on.
Yeah.
We got
Shagar said he'll do it, but it has to be a Monday when he does the mandate.
I don't mind that. I like that.
And then he would be in studio for it. I don't know if he would pull a glue guy move and bring coffee and donuts, but
no
that was
chance.
Clutch. Yeah, no, he definitely
no
would.
Chance.
He'd probably
I'm going to claim that right now. He's going to Ryan will be one of those guys that comes in and he doesn't bring us something, but when we say, "Hey Ryan, could we get you anything?" he's going to go expect something above and beyond what we have here. We have water, coffee, and alcohol.
He would ask for a mixed drink.
He'd want a cappuccino or something, and somebody would have to go run and get him one, and probably want a breakfast sandwich, and that's what I envision Ryan would be like if he came in.
Yeah, well, he's high maintenance, so
he's the bureau chief of TSN in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Used to be our bureau chief. Not anymore. Only Dusty's bureau chief.
Yeah.
Because he's still part of the TSN family.
Yes, he is. He'll be on the call. Is that a TSN radio broadcast? There's only a couple stations
No, so
left.
it's being carried on 9 stations across Canada. You could hear Dusty's Grey Cup call actually on 630 CHED, home of Bob Stauffer and Oilers Now, which you can catch 5 o'clock on your radio station.
future
EST guest.
Bob Stauffer.
So that's where you can catch it in Edmonton. But yeah, I think it'll be on the other like the 3 remaining TSN stations.
Yeah.
But 9 stations across Canada.
Excellent.
The only CFL city that doesn't have it is actually Vancouver. It's going to be aired in like Kamloops or something, I think. I'd have to look at Dusty's because I thought there was 2 actually, so I might be missing another one. But yeah, like Vancouver, no station in Vancouver is picking this up. But so Dusty will do the Grey Cup call on radio with Marshall Ferguson. He's usually the PA voice of the Grey Cup at the beginning.
Again, right?
And then you have him tomorrow. I think it's noon to 4. It's Grey Cup Saturday on TSN. Him and Marshall will be on the desk getting you set for the Grey Cup the next day.
Like on the TV side.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, those 2 will be great.
Oh, and like it was funny talking to Dusty about that because like the guy knows how to host. He's been like excellent. He was a little nervous when he got the call. Because when he got the call, he was here. Yeah. And he came and told me he got the call, and he was a little nervous at that moment. He's like, I've never done the TV hosting. I'm like, dude, you host every day.
Every day.
It's almost the exact same thing.
Except
like,
they make it even easier for you.
You don't have to interview everyone.
No.
You got to throw it to different things. Yeah, you're going to have to interview certain people. But Dusty, that's nothing to Dusty. His other thing he has to worry about that he knows is sitting up straight and stuff. He's a hunched over guy. He likes it or leaning back. And he knows he's got to be a little more professional, I guess, on the...
Yeah, it'll be fine. Like
he should have talked to you about that stuff.
Yeah, if he wants to. I mean...
Well, no, you've hosted a TV, right?
Well, we'll be hosting Bozone Live this Sunday on Wild TV. Season 4 gets underway. Hey, we took shout out to one of our hunters. She was Heather Wilson. We have a Bozone Live WhatsApp chat. She was the first to tag out in, I think, Season 1. That means get a buck.
Okay.
She was the first one in Season 1. And then yesterday, Heather got a gorgeous buck. So she's tagged out, and I'm guessing she'll probably be my co-host in studio to kick off Season 4 on Sunday.
So did they have to tag out to be your co-host?
That's kind of how it is. So usually, like, whoever, because there was a time, I think it was Season 2 or 3, where it was like we had multiple bucks taken or harvested per day, and it was like, oh, who's gonna co-host it with you? And like we had Jason Moss came in last year. Hopefully, if he's successful, and I said it selfishly, like I hope the Alouettes win, and Moss and Danny Machocha, help guide this Alouettes team to a Grey Cup victory, because then Jason will come in. He'll probably celebrate for a week in Montreal. They'll have a parade, and then he'll have like a week to get in the tree stand. Hopefully the weather's good and the conditions are great, and he could get himself a nice buck to wrap up November, and then he brings in the Grey Cup with a buck taken down to co-host and wrap up Season 4 of Bozone Live, because there's only 2 weeks left in the hunting season.
How long is the hunting season? Like, it's not long, is it? Like, it's
like a month.
It's only like
in
like this fall window and stuff you can hunt.
Yeah. So it's done, and then in the Bozone it's done at the end of the month. But there's other areas where sometimes it's extended depending on your, if you have First Nation status, it's different. Like, but in the Bozone, it's done at the end of the month. I know that.
Do you know who's going to be hunting tomorrow? The Edmonton Oilers for 2 points against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Excellent.
Let's talk some Edmonton Oilers here. Portions of this are brought to you by Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen. They have the ghost pepper sandwich back for a limited time. It's $9.99, available in stores and on delivery. So get on your app if you're a little lazy. It's very simple. You DoorDash that ghost pepper sandwich, comes right to your house. Boom. You have delicious food for the night. You didn't have to leave. Although today's a day you might want to drive to Popeyes because it's beautiful outside by what we've been told. We've been stuck inside, so we haven't gone out yet, but we've got to do that. Let's get into this Oiler game, though, right now. This is a big road trip for this team, right? Like,
absolutely.
I guess, what do you take away from that Oiler team? And if you're Chris Knobloch or Paul Coffey, I guess both of them, what are you taking away from that last game against the Kraken going into this game? Is it the positives you're looking at, or is it the negatives you're looking at?
Happy with the positives, certainly. Getting the result that they did ultimately is the best part of what happened on the other night or Wednesday night, and but then I think the other realization is, there's definitely work to do, and this team still has some deficiencies it needs to iron out, and it's not as simple as a new coach coming in or new coaches coming in and giving the team a bump. They're going to have to get some good work done and implement those tweaks that we've heard Chris Knobloch talking about. We had Mike Johnson on the Nielsen show earlier today, and he was saying he noticed some neutral zone stuff that has been changed a bit, some D-zone details that Knobloch has been working on, and certainly Paul Coffey, of course. That has to continue, and they had a practice earlier today in Tampa, so I'm sure they worked on that a little bit. There's... And then on top of all of that, like Knobloch and Coffey and Gulletson, the whole coaching staff too, they're going to have to this coaching staff is going to have to put its fingerprints on the team and how it wants the team to play and the strategy and systems it wants to incorporate. So there's going to be those variances from the Jay Woodcroft, Dave Manson version of this coaching staff as well. It's very much a work in progress, and they're going to continue to shape and mold this team. But, I think that's the thing is like, okay, you got the points, great. Was it pretty? No. Was it thorough? No. You played like, what are we saying, 4 or 5 good minutes? There's work to be done. So more of what we saw against the Kraken on last Saturday and a little bit of what we saw patience-wise against the Islanders. I know that those aren't the best opponents, but the Oilers kind of got into some bad habits again on Wednesday. You're going to have to iron those out against a Lightning team that just broke a 3-game losing streak when they beat Chicago last night.
Jumping in the nasty chat here quickly, Dave was saying this team is still back-to-back losses away from full-blown panic mode. Kirk saying feels like a classic afternoon letdown game tomorrow. Chris saying I hate afternoon games. The NHL scheduling takes away from the sport. They need to do better hopefully next year. I don't actually on a Saturday I don't mind the afternoon games because I think if you're the NHL you try to plan a full day worth of content. You want people watching your product all day when the average person doesn't work on a weekend. So you want to spread out as many of your games as possible. You don't want to just have the 5 and 8 o'clock windows, I would think. So I don't mind having afternoon games. I don't mind if the NHL started every Saturday starting at 11 o'clock Mountain Time. Now for the Edmonton Oilers and an Oilers fan, you don't want that if you go based on history because matinees have... Dave Jamieson hates that. If Dave's listening right now, he's absolutely yelling at the radio that doesn't matter. See you at the pint. Let's go Reds. But there is something about this Oiler team and the matinees, and I don't know, something's got to give tomorrow, though, because they've been doing rather well out in Tampa the last little while.
Let's have a look.
But the matinees, like, look, if you want to look at matinees this season, the Nashville game was a matinee. We know what happened in that one. So
they didn't show up.
Didn't show up. So are they going to show up in this one? I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
Let's take a look at their run against Tampa, in Tampa lately. Running it up here. So they beat Tampa last year, back in November. So almost it was over.
That was the game that Kane got cut. Was it not?
That was, yeah. So that was a 3-2 Oilers win. Prior to that, they had lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 or 10 in a row in Tampa.
Really?
Yeah, they hadn't won in Tampa since 2009.
The year that Jay got hired, so that would have been 2021. Was that a close game?
They went to Tampa February 23rd, 2022. They lost that game 5-3.
Okay, I think that was a really good hockey game for them. If I'm recalling that trip, remember it well, because then they beat Florida, or they beat Florida before Tampa, and then they had Carolina. And
they played well against Carolina.
Yeah, because it was
the overtime win.
Yeah, where then I think somebody scored against Mike Smith, but it was called back for offside or something like that, and then they ultimately won in overtime, if I'm recalling it correctly. Because it was like 3 weeks after Jay Woodcroft was hired, or 2 weeks after he was hired.
Yeah,
and that was one where, I remember when the Oilers were struggling with Dave Tippett, and it was like this team's got to turn around because we're all looking at that stretch, going, "Oh boy, that's going to be a killer." And they ended up actually doing not bad. And I remember that it might have been a loss, but if I'm not mistaken, they played a pretty good hockey game against the Lightning that year.
When Woodcroft got hired, they won 5 in a row, and then they lost to Minnesota. I think it was like a 7-3 final, and that was he got hired like February 11th or February 12th, 2022. They rattled off 5 straight wins, and then they lost in Mini. And I remember a lot of the discussion, we talked about it on the post-game show back then, is I think the Oilers had wrapped up a 5-7 stretch or something along those lines, or 4-6. And, they grinded through it. And then, we remember how well the rest of that season went, where they ended up in the conference final against the Colorado Avalanche. But, they did lose to Tampa. They have had a lot of success against the Florida Panthers in Florida. I'll look that up right now, to be honest with you.
And then I don't know how quickly you can do these.
I got it. They've won the last 3 in Florida, and they went on a stretch where they beat Florida all the way from December 7th, 2000 to 2002, where they won every visit there up until November 8th, 2018. They lost 4-1 in that game. And since that loss in Florida, they've won their next 3 visits. So they've won, 1, 2. I think like 12 of the last 13 visits to Florida.
What about Carolina and Washington? That's where, because that's what Hernan and YouTube Trev both throughout this week on the Hangout each. They're like, the Oilers don't generally do well there. And it kind of rings a little bell.
That's fair.
So just because this is a big road trip for the Oilers, where less in the nasty chat saying most important stat is 7 points out of a wild card spot. 100%, you're absolutely right. Yeah. But you got to get wins to close that gap, and you can't afford losses. And I would say that, a 500 road trip, there's going to be people that are going to be upset about that. But that is the absolute bare minimum this team can afford with these 4 games.
2-1-1.
I would agree with that 5, but I don't know if they're walking away with 4 because of 2 wins. I think there's going to be some, depending. They win the next 2, and then you lose 2 after. I think going on a 5-game win streak to lose 2, I think people are going to be okay. I think.
Their last win in Carolina was February 16th, 2020. I think Josh Archibald scored a couple goals in that game, and that was in overtime. They've dropped the next 2 games in Carolina, so they've only won twice in Carolina. They won in 2018, and they won in 2020. And since in every other visit since 2015, they've lost. So Carolina has not been kind to them. And then Washington, let's have a quick look at Washington just to give a sense of where we're at. And listen, these are different teams. These are over the years. But for whatever reason, Edmonton has had success against the Florida Panthers.
We've said it about the Preds up until that last game, that the Oilers own the Predators. And what did we see earlier this year when they went to Nashville? They own the Predators. Sometimes these things do actually matter, I guess, if you will. And, for whatever reason, in Minnesota even sometimes, the Oilers just struggle out of Minnesota.
Edmonton's won once in its last 6 visits to Washington. That win, a 5-3 decision, February 5th, 2022. They lost their visit last year. That was almost a calendar year ago, November 7th, 2022. They lost 5-4 in that game.
So, not an easy road trip for this team. And that's, I've been saying this week, and I'll stick with it. This is, to me, now ultimately the season-defining road trip. If they could come away back with 5-6 points minimum, then I think this Oiler team could start rallying and find its way and claw its way back into a wild card spot. But if they go 1-3, or they go 1-2-1 or something like that, I think it's done. I'm not going to hold out hope that they're going to be able to sneak into the playoffs necessarily this year. Or if they do, it's going to be an early exit. No point looking at conference finals, and because this is where it's interesting for this team is, I don't know if I've thrown it your way yet. If you're whoever's making decisions in the front office, what are you thinking with the first-round pick for the Oilers this year? How movable is it now?
Well, you're not in a position of strength anymore. Say the season is off the rails for the rest of the year. Maybe you're considering keeping it, depending on where they end up.
Well, because at the start of this year, we all would have went, you trade that at the deadline, around the deadline, to improve this team for the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Well, where do the Oilers have to be for this team to feel comfortable now moving that first-round pick? Because if you, or you're going to have to, you lottery protect that, it loses its value right there.
Mm-hmm. Depends how they assess where they're at. If the season is a failure and they don't make the playoffs, and they think that they're still a ways away from being a contender, which is unbelievable because less than 2 months ago we were saying how much of a contender this was. Yeah, they'll have to determine how far they they are, or they think they are, away from being a contender. If that's where it goes. Now, they can turn it around. Yep. They could have a great trip. And then we could be talking about this team being right back in the mix. And then all of a sudden that first rounder is back into the fray when it comes to moving it for a piece that can help you.
But just any player on the blue line, like I think they'll be a little more hesitant at this moment to make that move. Whereas at the start of the year, if we said the Oilers need to make a move or had a chance to make a move in December, and you had to include the first-round pick, I think everyone would be like, absolutely, you move it.
Yeah. But now you're questioning because
what it could be.
A week ago, they were the worst team in the league, tied with San Jose at 5 points. And the only thing that saved them from being last in the league was the fact San Jose had played one more game than them. At that point. Now San Jose is winning games.
But so are the Oilers.
Hey, now. 3 in
a row. 3 in a row. We'll get to lines right away here because the Oilers skated a couple of hours ago. Portions of this hour brought to you by Boston Pizza. Watch the Oilers at BP's. $5 off minimum or medium pizzas. $1 off tankard of Canadian or Coors Light and $5.50 shots of Fireball, Jaeger, Burt Reynolds, Purple Rain, and Honey Jacks. You know what a great day to watch the Oilers at Boston Pizza besides every game day?
The 22nd.
The 22nd.
Absolutely.
And at the specific location in Kingsway, because Tom Gazzola will be with the Oil Stream pregame and postgame show.
But I thought the crew's showing up. Is the crew showing up for that one again? Or is it just me?
Well, I think so. Well, yeah. I don't know how many people. Because Dusty will be there.
Yeah.
I'll make an appearance.
Yeah. All you have to do is go up
would.
109th Street.
Could take the train.
You could take the train.
Just take the train.
You could take a scooter, Matthew.
Trev is working here, so he can't make it.
Trev used to work at that BP. That's where we found Trev.
Yeah, I don't know if he told you about that BP's.
No.
Why you can't go on Wednesday.
The girl he liked?
2 of them.
2.
There's 2. Both working.
Trev, poor guy, he's not feeling
they're
well.
not watching. I guess
these girls aren't watching.
They're not. There's 2 of them. So
I thought there was only 1.
There's 2,
oh, boy.
And they're both working that night. So he thinks it's going to be completely awkward. Where I've said reverse, all of a sudden at BP's that day, it's like, hey, Edmonton Sports Talk, come and look at these bigwigs. And he comes and joins us, and it's like, look at this bigwig.
Look at YouTube. Trev.
Yeah.
Old stomping grounds.
This guy's in with these guys.
I think that, it's going to be a great time. And
easily.
They have great game day deals. Molson, Joseph and the crew from Molson tagged up with BP for the last one. They had a Heritage Classic jersey that they gave away, a bunch of Heritage Classic gear. I think there was T-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that. There were beer mugs and all kinds of great prizing. So maybe that's going to happen again. Hopefully it does happen again. I think it would be a triumphant return for YouTube Trev to go back to his old stomping grounds with his new position with us and his new career. And that was something he was working towards. And I think if he took the high ground and came in and visited with the old staff and everything was good and he's introduced, he's like, hey, do you know so-and-so, so that would make him look good in front of these 2 girls that he liked or maybe still does. And I think, if he takes the high road and does that and he's got his big smile with his nasty mustache.
We'll pump the hell out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll pump his tires. And I think it would be a good scenario for him. So, Trev,
he might
I
not
hope
be
you're
there.
feeling better if you're watching or listening. And then B, if you could have made it out for that BP on the 22nd, you could take that strategy.
Far from here.
No, it's not.
It's a quick little. You could leave after
quick sojourn.
back after 2 inners.
Yeah,
in 2 periods. Come here, boom. Get you set for post.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like that.
Right down 107.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
So
I think it's doable, and I think that's how I'd look at it. I'd be like, I'd love to go see the old staff that I worked with, and now you meet the new staff meets the old staff, and
there's another reason for you to show up to the
Yeah.
BPs in Kingsway is you get to watch what's going on with YouTube Trev.
Watch him wheeling and dealing. But
Or how this all plays out.
Now,
it's just that extra drama you get to watch. You're watching the Oilers take on, that's the 22nd. So is that what, Carolina? Yeah, Carolina, I think. You get to watch Oilers take on Carolina, but on the side, what's going on with YouTube Trev? Boom.
Yeah. Propane Pimp is texting in 780-218-9999. Propane Pimp's all over. I'm not even going to read his text.
Go for it.
He's all no, I don't even want to.
I thought you said I want to read it.
No, I
don't.
don't.
We can skip
Propane
it.
Pimp.
You want to
settle down.
Here's what we'll do.
Settle down. You're feistier than Iwanyk in a morning situation.
I'm not feisty. I'm just miserable.
I'm just trying to
rag
on
and look,
Propane Pimp.
I will still go back to this. I have told all of you this very thing. This isn't like I'm going to say I'm not miserable. Straight up. I am. Here's the thing. Don't talk to me. That's on you.
I love talking to you.
That's on all of you. Yeah. It just don't talk to me, and we're good. We're fine. And then when I'm awake, we're all good.
All right, so the Oilers were on the ice in Tampa today.
Do you want me to read the lines, or do you want to go through it?
I can go through it if you want. All right, I just had it.
Okay, Jack Michaels, McDavid in between Nugent Hopkins and Brown.
I just had it.
You said it's not there. It's in front of me.
Go for it.
Draisaitl centering at Kane and Hyman. McLeod in between Fogle and Ryan. Hamblin centering Ernie. And then on the right side, there was a mix of Gagne and Lavoie. Nurse with Ceci. Ekholm with Bouchard. Kulak with Desharnais. And Broberg was the seventh skater. I didn't say anything in terms of goaltending. Who was in the quote-unquote starters net and stuff. But Gagne going down to the fourth line. Connor Brown looking to draw in for his 10th game this season. Is that the right move?
I guarantee there's a large section of Oiler fans saying, no, wave him.
I'm one of those people.
You're one of them?
I don't think you can play him.
They're doing it.
I think that's a huge mistake.
You think so?
What has he done this season through 9 games?
He's done nothing. He got hurt.
Exactly. So now, to play him in this 10th game, how much of a penalty are you getting hit by next year?
Was it like a $3.5 million
when you're this team that has been struggling for the cap for the last number of years? Ken Holland could not give Jay Woodcroft a full lineup this season. Last season, we saw that same thing happen a few times. Why are you taking a $3 million cap hit for a player that has done nothing for you through 9 games right now?
Okay, if I'm going to answer, if I look at it from an Oilers standpoint, it's because you believe that this player, a veteran NHLer, coming off a significant knee injury, can provide you with something and find some semblance of his former self. That would be the argument.
So, and then here
I'm not saying he's going to. I'm saying that would be their argument.
Here's my counter to that argument from them then is, look, where the Oilers are right now isn't great.
It's not.
He hasn't been produced for anything. Send him on waiver, put him on waivers, send him down to Bakersfield. And if you're sitting in a wild card spot, or you're sitting much closer in a wild card spot, let's say January and February, and he's producing with Bakersfield, maybe that's a point you go, okay, this guy could maybe do it, and then you bring him up then, because now you actually could see something happening this season. But with where the Oilers are right now, where there's a potential that this team might not make the playoffs, that's a real potential. I don't think a lot of us are still fully there to say that, but there's a potential they don't make the playoffs. So you miss the playoffs, and then you have a $3 million capture penalty for next year with Connor Brown. That's just poor management in my mind. That's the counter I would have to that is you could try this again later in the season. You don't need to rush to that right now getting him out there because he hasn't done anything to show that he deserves to even be on a top line with this team, let alone you have to take a $3 million penalty next year. And yeah, I'm calling it a penalty, not a bonus.
Your argument is completely valid. I haven't seen anything from Connor Brown to suggest, especially this season, obviously, that he's going to get back to being a 40-point guy. It was a gamble that has not paid off, and there's a strong chance it doesn't at all, and it comes with this penalty you just described. But I think they are going to roll him out there, and I think they are going to hope that he figures it out and starts to play at an adequate level, and then they're going to have to eat the penalty next year.
Well, hopefully it's not a penalty. It's a penalty as well.
I'll
go more to a bonus than next year if he produces this season, But based on what we've seen so far, it feels like a huge mistake by this organization that we're going to be sitting here a year from now. We'll be in Vancouver, Grey Cup week, and we'll be talking about an Oilers lineup going with 19, 20 players again, and we're going to be sitting there. Why is this happening? Oh, well, because they have $3 million cap penalty for Connor Brown. And, he's not with the team right now because he didn't do anything last year. But that's just the way I look at it. What else? Do you see anything else with those lines that stands out?
Just Gagne's role diminishing, which is where he should be fourth line.
Here's the thing about Sam Gagne in my mind, and you could correct me where I'm wrong here. He seems like that player that it's okay to throw him up there for 2-3 games.
Moonlight.
And then he goes back to the proper spot. I always felt Josh Archibald was that player too. You could slot him anywhere in the lineup. He'd produce for a short period of time, and then naturally you slot him back into the spot he should be at, like a utility guy. This is you can't have Sam Gagne in your top 6 for an extended period of time if you're the Edmonton Oilers.
The other one I look at, too, is Ernie. And you go, well, what has he done this season? I'm surprised he didn't get suspended. A $2,000 fine for that elbow to the head of Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. Maybe they're going to keep him in there because he's facing one of his old teams. I don't know. But he has some level of sandpaper, but we haven't really seen a ton of it outside of a cheap shot on Bellemare. He was good in the preseason. That was a long time ago now.
Why do you think he didn't get suspended?
Bellemare finished the game.
Yeah.
Concussion spotters didn't pull him off the ice. I think that's probably something to do with it.
Jumping in the nasty chat here quickly, Calvin C. saying NHL should not be where Brown should be working on his conditioning. It was done the right way with Gagne, starting the AHL after his hip injury. James, what about an NHL conditioning stint to at least get Brown's offense? It will come around. Chris also saying I would have her on a conditioning stint in Bakersfield for a couple games to assess him. I'm not going to pretend like I know how easy it is to what the criteria is for a conditioning stint, but even then, I'd like to, even if it's just put him on, like no one's picking him up on waivers, so put him on waivers, send him down there, let him work on his game a little bit, and come back up here if he's showing that he can do it down in Bakersfield. That's the way I'm looking at it.
I understand.
I want to quickly just go to Gord, going back to me being tired in the morning and all that. He says, weird comment that Iwanyk wants to have viewers for the new station then telling everyone not to talk to him, like not tune in. No.
He's not on the
I'm not on the air.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm not on the air also in the morning show.
Yeah.
There's a reason that over the last 2.5 months, when Dusty and Lieutenant Eric are doing their show, you don't hear my mic get cracked, turned on until 7 o'clock hour, 8 o'clock hour some days, because they're the hosts. They're doing their job. They're talking to you. I'm not in that role. And then when I'm ready to speak, my mic turns on. So no, this has nothing to do with listeners. You don't see me in the mornings. These guys do. And they have to deal with the wrath that is a very cranky Matt Iwanyk.
It's kind of funny, though. Like,
Is it?
I needle you in the morning. I talk to you a lot. I try
You're
to
like
get
my
you
brother.
going. Because I see what's happening. That's okay.
You miss, actually, and I did say the good morning to you this morning.
Did you?
It was very quiet, and I know you stared at me because you said good morning to me, and you stood and just stared at me for a bit. I clearly didn't say it loud enough.
All good.
Because you
all
did
good.
keep, I noticed
Just
why you
stared
kept
at
looking
you.
at me. Yeah,
Yeah.
for all that.
One text, Sonny D texted in and said, Connor was shaking his head at 89 for not moving the puck, which caused an offside. I remember that. So is he being penalized for it? No, I think just valid point, Sonny D, but, I think Chris Knobloch recognizes, it's better to have Sam Gagne. He shouldn't be a second-line right winger.
If that play doesn't happen, does Sam Gagne still go to the fourth line?
Yeah, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah, probably. That's a good point.
So that's, I know right now for some people, even the nasty chat are saying the reason Connor Brown's playing is GM and CEO of the team, Connor McDavid, wants him to play.
No.
I know it's easy to go at Connor for certain moves that have happened this season already,
Right.
like signing him, like Jeff Jackson, like Chris Knobloch, whether you want to believe Connor or not. I get that narrative. For this one, I'm not going to say that that's on Connor.
Yeah. Okay, a couple things. Connor was pretty adamant to try to make it known that it wasn't his call.
Okay, but what else is he going to say? He's not going to sit there and go, yes, I wanted Jay Woodcroft gone, or yes, I wanted Connor Brown on this team. Yes, I wanted Chris Knobloch to coach this team. He's not going to say that.
What if he did want them? And I'm just saying hypothetically, what if he did? And was like, well, they're good to have, Sad to see one go. Here's this new coach. He's going to do great. Anyway, it's beside the point. That's in the past. Would you rather have Sam Gagne on the third line instead of Derek Ryan? Because as of now, Ryan was skating with McLeod and Fogle, whereas Gagne was rotating with Lavoie on the fourth line with Hamblin and Ernie. Would Gagne be a better fit for McLeod and Fogle than Derek Ryan? I might argue yes. A little bit bigger. A little bit. I think he's heavier than Derek Ryan.
That fourth line doesn't look like it gets a lot of minutes.
No, it probably won't.
Like a year where the Edmonton Oilers are supposed to try to roll out multiple lines, try to spread some things out. That looks like 3 lines are going to get quite a bit of the minutes. And that fourth line would 5 minutes.
Yeah. 5 to 8.
Because how often, or if you're Chris Knobloch, do you want to roll out Hamblin and Ernie with either Gagne or Lavoie? In this pivotal moment in this season.
Yeah, not often. Like, is Ernie going to be penalty killing? I doubt it. He has at times. Yeah, I don't think that line's going to be playing a ton at all.
Which is also going to be a potential problem for the Edmonton Oilers moving forward. This is what happens when you put yourself behind the 8 ball this early in the season. Portions of this hour brought to you by One Putt Virtual Golf. Check them out, oneputt.ca, or follow them on Instagram, OnePuttYag, a mix of Top Golf and regular virtual golf all in one. They use the TrackMan technology, which is by far the best technology for a simulator, and they got those free arcade games, oneputt.ca for more information there. There is an NHL hockey game being played right now as the Toronto Maple Leafs are taking on the Detroit Red Wings out in the NHL Global Series. I'm just trying to refresh to get the ultimate. 8 minutes left in the first. It is 0-0. This game not national. What do you make of that? Mistake, or does it matter?
Not putting it on national television?
Yes, it's regional.
But they've got 4 teams down there.
Mm-hmm. And they're mostly regional games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So like, if you go on Sportsnet right now, it'll show up probably. You go to it, it'll say Blacko.
Well, I don't think TNT and ESPN care 2 hoots about games out in Sweden.
But in Canada, is this a mistake to not have more global games or national games? That, like, why? I guess in the end, why is a global series a regional game and not a national broadcast?
Are the games in London and Germany in the NFL, are those regional or are those nationals?
Everything in the NFL is national.
Yeah, basically. That's a good.
Everything is available. Well, because you get Sunday ticket. Well,
hang on. Yeah,
I guess how does that work?
The Sunday nighter is national, right? Monday nighter, Thursday nighter, and Thursday nighter in the States is on Amazon Prime, so you have to have a Amazon Prime subscription.
I think that global game was an NFL Network, so you'd have to have NFL Network. But they're not regional blackouts. You have those channels. You have those channels. With Sportsnet, I have the Sportsnet subscription myself.
Yeah.
I have the channel subscription to Sportsnet, but I'm just going to try to put it on. I don't think it will work because it's a regional blackout, and it's just it's even part of. I know a lot of people are working in North America right now. It's the work day right now.
Yeah.
But how many with technology the way it is, you could throw it up on your computer. You could throw it up at home if you're working from home. There's a lot of ways to throw it on. There's nothing else going on. Why wouldn't you have that be a game that is more accessible to everyone else?
I'm looking at tomorrow. They've got Mini in Ottawa, right? I'm assuming that would probably...
It's a Saturday. That's usually national.
Early start. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is probably national. I don't know.
It doesn't even show up on my...
So you don't even have the option to watch it right now?
It's not even showing up on the schedule for me.
On the Sportsnet app?
No, that was I was using my TV one. I'll have to open up Sportsnet right now.
Okay.
We'll give that a try.
I don't know, man. I don't know how they work out these deals. But, yeah, you would think that if you're out showcasing the game, it would. I'm assuming it's on national TV in Sweden. Right? Like, you're trying to
play games in Sweden but not air the games in Sweden?
Right.
How great would that be?
It'd be stupid if they did that.
Outside Leafs region, this event is not available for me.
So we can't
basically,
watch it. Yeah. Unless you get a pirated stream.
Yes.
Or you
which never tweet IPTV. Never tweet it.
Why would you tweet it?
If you say what's a good IPTV or something like that, never tweet those 4 letters together.
Will you get flagged?
No, bots come out of the woodworks like nothing else.
Really?
I made the mistake once. Within a minute, I already had 15 replies. It is change the letters around, put asterisks in there or something, change them. Never actually tweet those 4 letters together, period. Just telling you that. That is the one tip I'll have for anyone.
Sunny D also follows up, says 89 is a 13th forward at best. He has some chemistry with 91. Yeah, they had a good run, especially when Gagne got the call up for sure in that Dallas game. 780-218-99.
David Gibbons saying Connor Brown is going to score 15 this year. First 9 games were right off for the whole team. No, Brown can skate. Gagne can't really keep up. I think Ryan has looked pretty good. He's drawn some penalties. I think he's earned the third line look. So kind of a little bit of a combination there of Ryan on the third line and Connor Brown. If Connor Brown scores 15 this year, does that make it all worthwhile?
It would quiet a lot of people, for sure. I still think that would be a bit of a letdown.
You think?
Yeah, because I think a reasonable expectation is 20-20 for Connor Brown at $4 million, right? Especially in a top 6 role with playing with one of the 2 best players in the world. So I know he's missed some time, but I still think that would be a bit of a letdown if he only got 15. If he got 15 goals, 25 assists, does hit that 40-point threshold, I think, okay, that's less of a pill to swallow.
Softens the blow.
Somewhat, yeah. But is he going to get 25 assists? With the way he's played this year, no. Unless it clicks and his body feels good and he starts lighting it up. Unlikely. Does he get to 30 points? That's reasonable.
I guess part of it is if he plays tonight, or tomorrow, I should say, he's going to be playing the majority of the season then.
Unless he gets hurt again.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, right?
Yes. Because at that point, like, let's say he doesn't really fully turn it around. Yeah, maybe he doesn't get the top line looks anymore, but you're not waiving him necessarily. You've already got the penalty. It's already going to hurt next year.
Yeah.
So unless he's actually really hurting your team when he's on the ice, like goals are being scored every time he's on the ice in your net, he'll then play the rest of the way. So by that nature, he should hopefully have a chance at getting some points right there by playing the rest of the season. Again, barring any sort of injury. It's just, can he make that a little bit bigger in terms of getting a few extra assists, getting those few goals to soften the blow of what's coming.
Chris via the nasty chat says 5 goals equals $1.25 million. Yeah, in some cases. That's where the league's at now.
David also saying if McDavid gets going, yes, he will. Which...
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like McDavid will have his power play points when he's going, but he also will have his 5-on-5 points. And you got to look who's going to be his line mates when he gets going like that again. And yeah, if Connor Brown's that way, like it might be tomorrow, then yeah, I guess you're by association could get those points.
Connor Brown, if you're wondering, 9 games played, -5, 13 shots on goal, averaging 14.34 time on ice. Hasn't done much.
Nope. And once again, that next game that he plays, there'll be a penalty of over $3 million next year on the cap. And that's what the Edmonton Oilers are having to deal with. It's stunning that was the threshold added to this contract for this season. That games played threshold for that wasn't something more around the 30-game mark or 40-game mark.
That's part of what enticed him to take the deal and move to Edmonton.
Then shouldn't have done it. Find a different way to address this. That's what they should have done.
When they signed him, they tried to get him last offseason too. They tried to trade for him.
Well, he's been rumored with the Oilers for some time now.
When he signed here, I think universally, for the most part, that signing was looked at in a positive light.
I disagree.
You disagree?
I think initially everyone knew he was going to sign here. And everyone viewed that as a positive light. But I think the moment that the contract came out and said 10 games, cap penalty, $3 million next year, there was a lot of people at that moment saying that's a terrible move. That I don't think this is for a lot of people out there, I don't think this was full hindsight 2020. I think in the moment there was quite a few fans out there saying that is going to hurt, that $3 million cap penalty. Or bonus, or however you want to look at it for next season. You didn't see those?
Oh, I saw those.
Okay. At the time? Because, yeah, like for some people, like there is, hindsight 2020 is always tough. But that was one of those moves. I will give quite a few people credit saying when that move happened, I saw people saying that.
Yeah. That was a Holland kicking the can down the road type of thing, right? Kind of with the Nugent Hopkins deal. Kind of with the Hyman deal, even Kane.
Well, and I guess no one would be talking about it if Connor Brown, through 9 games this year, had
5 goals, 5 assists.
Sure.
Something like that.
Something around, or even like it was, 7, 8 points in that, just under a point a game player or something like that. Yeah, I think no one would be batting an eye necessarily. But with the way this entire season has gone top to bottom, like
everything's getting
basically,
torn apart,
every little thing is amplified.
Yes.
And is going to be focused on.
Yes, absolutely. RCN via the text line 780-218-9999 says, because it was never meant to be a bonus-laden deal. If they had the space, it would have just been $4 million, no bonuses.
I'm missing some of these texts. My thing wasn't refreshing.
You just hit refresh.
Yeah, well.
Propane Pimp hitting me with, Propane Pimp. I want you to have a positive weekend, Propane Pimp.
If the Oilers were to trade Brown after he plays his 10th game, which team has the bonus on the cap next year? That's a really good question.
I don't know. I'd have to ask somebody.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say the Oilers, but that's just a guess. I have no idea whether I'm right or wrong with that one. Tom Gazzola and Matt Iwanyk with you here on the Oil Stream. Oil Stream pregame show tomorrow, 12:30, as Tommy will get you set for Lightning and Oilers, the first of a 4-game road trip. Also, the Oilers looking for 4 straight wins. What do the Oilers have to do tomorrow to get that 4th win? What are you keying in on for this team tomorrow?
Well, okay, attention to details, focus in the defensive zone, no lapses, communication, which seemed to falter last game. That would be key. Watch what happened to Tampa in their 3 straight losses and try to hone in on some of those weaknesses in the Lightning's game, because they're not the Tampa that we know and saw march to championship glory the last couple of years prior to last year faltering a little bit, losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Feels like this is kind of Tampa on the downswing now, right? So
I love John Cooper. I hope that's not the case.
You don't think it is? I think
I'm hoping it's not the case. I
think this is a winnable game.
For the Oilers, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, Tampa's looking at the Oilers going, this is a winnable game too. But
I don't think any team could look at the Oilers and think fully different right now.
No, that's true.
But it's just, I don't know. I'm just a huge John Cooper fan, and I want good things to happen to John Cooper. He's just a good dude.
Yeah,
I interviewed him
actually is really good
when he was announced as the Olympic head coach for when they eventually, they didn't go, but in that August, I interviewed him on 1260. And it was just a wonderful chat. Just took the time of the day. Seems like a solid coach. A guy that should have won a Jack Adams at some point in his career. And the fact that he's never won a Jack Adams just, again, shows that award is given to most improved team, not best coach, always, the majority of the time.
Well, he's got 2 big, expensive rings that I think validate his coaching ability quite well. And I'm sure he has no qualms with that. He would trade in as many Jack Adams as possible for one of those rings, and he's got 2 of them. So I think that says enough about his coaching ability, and his resume speaks for itself.
I know this is an Oilers show, and we're talking Oilers and hockey, but I got some breaking news from the NFL I got to get to.
Go.
Joe Burrow out for the year with the torn ligament per coach Zach Taylor. He had an MRI this morning. So Bengals season goes after the loss to the Ravens yesterday. Even worse, Joe Burrow done for this season with the Cincinnati Bengals. So
that's been a horrible year for Joe Burrow. The injury in training camp, it never really coming around.
And just awful for the Bengal fan base. Like, you're now part of the class of the AFC, one of the top teams, and then this year comes, gets off to a rocky start, and now you lose your quarterback for the year.
Back to Oilers.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that out there.
Like,
it was just fair. It just hit.
What did I say to you yesterday when you were making
told me
the hot cool bet?
The cool bet hotline of the day.
Hotline, yeah.
Yeah, which
said,
nailed
he had the
it.
He had the brace on his hand, and then yesterday he tried to throw the ball, and he said, no.
Yeah, but what happened before Joe Burrow left that football game? The Bengals were up.
Yeah, I know.
That's the difference.
All right. Johnny from Sylvan texts in, says, absolutely terrible idea to let Brown play another game. So obvious that he isn't moving the needle. You can find someone in the minors who will make more of an impact. Johnny from Sylvan with that one. Yeah, who would make, anybody right now would make more of an impact, but the potential to make an impact given his body of work, is what I think the Oilers are enticed by, certainly.
And just the way this season's gone.
But I don't disagree with Johnny from Sylvan.
Yeah, no, but the way the season has gone, I don't care. You can be enticed by whatever you think could happen.
Yeah.
The reality is through 9 games, it hasn't been there, and now you're going to have this issue next year where you're going to be looking back going, I wish I had $3 million if you're general manager X of the Edmonton Oilers, and it's all because Jeff Jackson allowed this to happen. And I say that because I don't think Ken Holland's the GM next year.
No, he's
and
not.
So I don't know who the GM is, and they might not. The person might not have made this decision and been part of this, but they're going to sit there going, "I wish I had this $3 million right now," and I don't because of what happened on November 18th of 2023.
Because of some wishful thinking.
Yeah,
yeah, more so than being enticed. It's wishful thinking at this point now. Feels like.
Oh, yeah. I guess you'd have to go with that word because again, there's now a sample size of this season that isn't good. And there hasn't really, there's a preseason moment that I know people, when he had a game with 2 goals, I think it was in preseason. And that was, this is what I'm thinking that's what they'll get from him. But when you look at the regular season alone, you haven't had that moment where you go, that's the Connor Brown the Oilers were hoping they would get when they made this deal.
The most defining moment for me of Connor Brown in this season was him taking a puck to the net hard in the Heritage Classic, and I think it resulted in a soft backhand shot. That was like, oh, okay, he's moving his feet, takes it to the net, and that was it. That's pretty sad. He's capable of better. Will he be better? I hope so.
I hope all my negative comments about that are proven to be wrong. I really do. But I don't think I will be.
Jay Milne and Jason Strudwick want you to be more positive.
I don't know why I'm getting ripped for my donut take. I that's the one thing I don't want to.
That's weird.
I don't want to. I want other people to pick a donut so I have less choices. Because I like them all. I want to eat them all, but I can't. The only time. Only time. Go ahead.
The Juice. Good to hear from the Juice. Says, it's okay, boys. The money saved on the Campbell buyout will pay for Brown's bonus. Holland is a genius. Genius in all caps. The Juice with some sarcasm there.
I hate buyouts.
Hello, the Juice. I hate them too.
I hate the dead money.
This team has had dead cap space for the last 7-8 years.
They still have this year, next year.
James Neal.
They
should have. If they were going to buy someone out, I said it. It should have been Mikko Koskinen.
And it's one of those where you have to make it work somehow. You've got to find a trading partner to trade him and eat half his salary. I would rather the Oilers eat part of his salary for the remaining years than eat a little bit less money and have it last longer. Even though the cap is expected to go up, it's one of my pet peeves of sports is buying players out.
Yeah.
And having that penalty go over an extra period of time because I just hate dead money. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Oilers have been in their problems for these years, that you just point out too much dead money. It's like when they bought out Eric Greiba for no reason. He had 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah.
Well, and it ended up being over 2. That one made no sense, though.
I think they were thinking to themselves, he can't play anymore. Like, are you sure he all of a sudden can't play anymore for 1 more year? Like, maybe he was at a point where he had lost a step, but you have him as your, 7th defenseman. I know this is going back in time, and it's a bit of revisionist history, but yeah. So you can go back to the Pouliot buyout, to the Sekera, to the Greiba buyouts, the Lucic, where you ate $750 per year until the end of that contract, which just ended, and then he signs with Boston again, and then now you've got the Neal buyout that they're dealing with. It's a pain in the ass. It's frustrating, and the only potentially a Jack Campbell buyout now.
They're not buying out Darnell Nurse.
They're not. No.
I know some people have thrown that one out there.
Did you see the play he made at the end of the game the other night?
That's way too much to buy out. Coach Mike, stay out of the box when it comes to tomorrow. The Juice asking, did I go to Tool? I did not. I actually forgot they were coming to town, and then Yukon Jack was borrowing my parking stall, and I went, oh, where are you going? He said Tool, and I was like, damn, I missed that. So
there's been a ton of concerts.
I'm disappointed on that one.
A ton of concerts at Rogers Place.
None that have really intrigued me except Tool. Not going to lie.
Tool would have been awesome. I thought Kiss would have been a good one, too.
I thought they were retired already. Not going to lie.
No, they were there.
I know. I thought they were done already, but they were back.
There's been some hip-hop shows. There's been some country acts. Shania was last week. Jonas Brothers was last week. Like, it's been hopping around Ice District the last couple of weeks. We got the Oil Kings around. It's been good. It's lively. They're doing the ice climbing at the fan park. That's coming up. Yeah, they're setting that up. I saw the trucks going in.
We've got that Big Air coming to Commonwealth
Commonwealth.
December
Man,
9th or something. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go check that one out. If you are watching the Oilers game tomorrow and looking to bet on the Oilers as well, you can bet them at coolbet.com. You could also head to Coolbet and bet on the exclusives of Edmonton Sports Talk. We've got a parlay up right now that you could only get at Coolbet. Canada men's national team draw win versus Jamaica tonight. Oilers Lightning over 5.5 tomorrow. Verstappen to win the Vegas Grand Prix, and in the Grey Cup, 74.5 points, the under in that one, and a rouge to be scored, Tommy's favorite, plus a 975. Dusty's not here, so we went big.
Yeah.
We went absolutely big with our EST parlay.
What did the Coolbet boys say to you when you...
when I first text Patty G, he laughed. He gave me a holy bleep. Let's see what we can do. And then the Jake said... I'm not sure how our guys did it, but it's online plus 975 with that like shrug emoji. So
yeah,
we built that. It's wild. Somebody said we were greedy. I don't care. Dustin's not here. He does that stuff. He's way better at this stuff. But we're going to get a whole bunch of sports, combine it into one. $1 hits 975. Boom. Just like that.
Bam. Bam. Boom. Zap. Thwack. Pat Ketty, our buddy Patty. On the Nasty Chat says, James Kennedy is coming to town if you want to go, boys.
Who's that?
Great question. I don't know. And Patty, I don't know if we'll take you up on going to James Kennedy, but we will see you at your establishment for a beverage or two, perhaps.
I have a gift card, like a bunch of gift cards.
I saw him and Gord from Ice House the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was good to see them.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's it for the show.
You are coming to watch Canada Jamaica?
I'm going to probably have another.
I think Hernan's going to show up.
Yes.
5 o'clock, Canada taking on Jamaica. That's the big game for tonight. But the Oilers came tomorrow. They are taking on the Lightning, as we've said. Hello, Hockey, 10 o'clock. You and Belzy. Do you have any idea what's on the show tomorrow?
Yes, Belzy was texting me. Looks like maybe Josh Georges will be joining us.
Oh, Josh.
And then I'm going to try to get somebody from Sweden to talk about the global series that's going on that's only available in certain regions.
David Pagnotta?
On television. No, Dave did not go to Sweden.
But are you having him on?
Oh, Dave will be on, yeah. He'll be our
on.
insider, as always. He's a staple on the show. And, and then we'll have a quick half-hour window, and then we'll be back. Belzy will be in for Cass on the pre- and post-game show as our analyst because Cass is on good husband duty, helping out Mandy with some stuff she's working on.
And for those wondering where's Dusty because they're tired of me, don't worry. He'll be back on Tuesday. You get me one more oil stream on Monday because Dusty's making his way back. He's at the Grey Cup. You could catch that on Ched here in Edmonton if you want to hear his call. He'll also be on TSN tomorrow starting at noon with a Grey Cup Saturday. Well done today. Busy day for you. You even joined the hangout, which I wasn't expecting.
All I had to do was laugh because Jay and Jason were hilarious, and I love how they were. And all I had to do was poke you a little bit. So it was a fun day. Great week here on EST as always. Big thank you to everybody who tuned in, texted in, watched, listened, all that good stuff. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Smash the thumbs up button. This hour flew. Let's have a great weekend. The weather's fantastic. So let's see if we're talking about positives about the Oilers on Monday.
Yeah, so to everyone, thanks for tuning in all day here on Edmonton Sports Talk all week. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. with Hello Hockey, the Nielsen Show with Tommy, Lieutenant Eric. They'll get the new week going on Monday. We've got a busy week next week covering the Edmonton Oilers. Part of what we're doing next week, too, on Friday, we will have a watch-along right here on our YouTube channel as well as our audio stream as the Oilers will be taking on the Capitals at 1 o'clock. It's going to be a busy week here on Edmonton Sports Talk. But Oilers, Lightning tomorrow, Oil Stream pregame show, 12:30, as Tommy said. On behalf of Tommy, I'm Matt Iwanyk. Thanks for tuning in to the Oil Stream. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and let's go Canada.